Hey everybody, it's Michael, and I have the honor of hosting today's webcast, and I am very excited because we have a New York Times best-selling author, speaker, and life coach. Her latest book, You Are a Badass: How to Stop Doubting Your Greatness and Start Living an Awesome Life. She encourages people to live lives of unbridled awesomeness. How awesome is that? Let's welcome our guest, Jen Sincero. Welcome.
Thank you so much.
We're excited to have you. So tell me, how did you come about writing a book or this whole concept of becoming a badass?
Well, the whole self-development industry was very interesting to me and a very important part of my life because I spent so long being so broke and so doubting my own greatness. And I read every single self-help book under the sun, and I decided that I wanted to sort of put my personal stamp on it because I was a writer and because this information changed my life so massively. And I was thinking about the Beachbody crew, and it's sort of like what your coaches do. You know, you guys have this amazing program, you have these amazing products, and each one of your coaches puts his or her individual stamp on it. So it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, so our goal is that hopefully listening to you, we can get a whole bunch more badasses out there, right? But really what it is about people being themselves and getting the most out of themselves. Is that a way to look at it?
Absolutely, and that is so much more powerful than most people realize. It's such a banana peel in a way. You know, we get so terrified to be who we are and to have faith in ourselves and to believe that we can actually do it. Meanwhile, that is truly one of the most powerful things you can do, and is quite frankly why my book was so successful.
Well, let me ask you, before we jump into some thoughts and tips on how to do that, let's talk about your story for a second. I mean, you talked about you went through this journey. Can you give us a little bit about what that journey entailed in transforming yourself?
I was very successfully broke well into my 40s.
I know some people like that.
You do?
Yeah.
I mean, I've really mastered the art of being broke, and I got really sick of it. So I was a writer and a musician, and I was successful in a lot of my creative endeavors, but the money thing was just always out of my grasp, and I finally just got so sick of it. A lot of people say, what was the big thing that happened that made you change your life? And it really was, I just got so sick of hearing myself whine about not being able to do what I wanted to do because I didn't have the money. So I made the decision to focus on money, which is a really big decision to make in our culture because you're allowed to focus on losing weight, you're allowed to focus on finding love. You focus on money and there's something greedy and gross and weird about you, right? So that was a big... I really had to overcome my own judgments and everybody else's opinions about that and just do it anyway because I was so sick of it. So I started hiring coaches and going to every seminar I could get my hands on. I read a teetering stack of wealth consciousness books. I made it my main focus.
And it's interesting, in reading the book, it wasn't necessarily something that you were comfortable with, this idea of like investing in personal development. That was something that was foreign to you and you thought like, oh, that's what those guys do, but not necessarily
I literally almost threw up. Really, like for my first coach, which was a couple $1,000s, which for me at that time was really a huge amount of money. But again, I was so sick of it that I was like, I don't care what I have to do. So I put it on a credit card that was already flimserson. And paid for it. And, this is what we talk about when we say you've got to go outside of your comfort zone if you really want to make changes. For me, spending money was about as uncomfortable as I could get. And it was that act of taking that risk in myself and making that investment. And then obviously doing the work that completely transformed my life, really. That one credit card transaction really sort of set a whole new reality in motion.
Puts your life into motion, that's what I was just going to say. We have over 400,000 of our Team Beachbody coaches out there, and with a goal of really helping people. I mean, that's kind of the beauty of being a coach. There's an income opportunity, but really when it comes down to it, it's really finding people, helping them move forward in their life. To do that, though, right, to be that leader that inspires other people, it can be, you've got to get out of your shell to do that. You've got to sometimes find something inside of yourself that you're not necessarily comfortable with. You got to put yourself out there.
Sure.
So in terms of coaches out there who have to think about that or who have to encourage other coaches to do that, what are some of the things that they can think about in order to be successful with that?
I think the very experience of being alive is uncomfortable. Right? I mean, we're on a ball in space right now, by the way, so it's like, that's kind of uncomfortable. And waiting until you're perfect or you know exactly what you're doing or you feel confident, it's you can't wait for that stuff. You have to go and do it anyway. So I think a really important thing to realize is just go and do it. Don't wait until, and I feel this way about money too. A lot of times we wait until we have the money before we do A, B, or C. You've got to take that leap. This is a whole leap and the net will appear, and it applies to money, it applies to confidence, it applies to being comfortable. Just start doing it anyway with the understanding that you're probably going to be uncomfortable a lot and all the time. And don't make it a big drama, and don't attach yourself to, I am a shy person, I am not good at this. Whatever's going through your head might still be there, but go and do it anyway.
So you say we just got to go for it. Mm-hmm. But sometimes that's easier to say than to actually do. I know that I'm one, that I overthink things. My head just says, I want to do this. And then I start thinking about, well, if I do that, then this. How do you get past that?
What you focus on, you create more of. Believe me, I am not perfect. I have lots of times when I don't do what I should be doing and I slack off and get scared and do all that kind of stuff. But it's about not making that. I think what happens is we make these big dramas out of things. Like that becomes the reality and we focus on that. Like, I'm being so lazy right now. I should do that, but I can't because A, B, and C. It's about catching yourself in those moments. And this is why we say awareness is the key to freedom, right? Mm-hmm. You become aware of the fact that these are nothing but your thoughts, right? This is not reality. This is just where your thoughts are leading you, and stepping back and becoming aware of that's where you're going. And then choosing to unhook from that and being like, okay, I can make another choice right now. Okay, so there are 8,000 very plausible reasons not to do all the things that will help you, but there's also 8,000 reasons to do it. So just shifting that focus, and it really starts with the awareness.
Yeah, and I think that you just said there's 8,000 reasons to not do the thing that's going to help you, but the point is that all of those 8,000 things will keep you from doing that thing. And you got to just get your mindset in a place that's just going to do it. And I think that, once you get past that, right, that's when you really start to see the success.
Exactly. And you said it, you get your mind set. And that's why we're always talking about mindset. And it's a muscle. The whole Beachbody thing is about working out and getting in shape. And you've got to train your mindset. And it really is that easy. It's a hell of a lot easier than doing 100 sit-ups.
So what are some of the things that you do to train your mindset?
I'm always reading something. I mean, and depending on what I'm focusing on in my world, if it's expanding my wealth, I'm reading wealth consciousness books. If it's getting in shape, I'm reading, empowering getting in shape books. Clearly, I don't ever do that, so that's why I say empowering getting in shape books. But you've got to pay as much attention to the mindset as you would the actual tasks of what you've got to do. You go to school, you go to the gym, and that. I listen to music. Music is a huge one for me. It's a huge inspiration. I hang out with people who inspire the crap out of me.
Well, let me ask you this. So there's a lot of coaches that, they say, I'm going to become a Beachbody coach. And lots of people around them go, what? Like, you're going to do what? You're going to become a coach. What's that? Why are you doing that? Why are you wasting your time with that? Wait, you're posting your life on Facebook? What are you doing?
Right.
Like, how do you deal with the rest of the world? So you've made your mind up, but the rest of the world is still trying to change your mind. How do you deal with that?
Oh, the rest of the world. When will they stop?
I know.
Well, honestly, I don't really engage with people who aren't supportive of me. And this is very difficult sometimes because most of the time the people that are the most critical and the most worried about you are the people you love. And they're the people that are the closest to you and the people you see the most every day, right? So it's not about cutting them out of your lives. It's just about not necessarily sharing your hopes and dreams with them, because in the beginning, especially in the beginning, you've got all those fears. You've got those aplenty. You do not need them to help you by piling theirs on top of yours, right? So I really think it's so important to just keep it to yourself and share it with the people who are going to support you. And also to really understand that you don't need to take it personally. We take it in and then we're like, that's right, who am I to be a coach? What do I know? Who do I think I am? and understand that it really is their fear to have and give it back to them. And the way to do that is just to keep connecting to why you're doing it in the first place.
Right.
Why are you excited about it? What do you know deep down that you really got something to offer, right? Again, it's where you place your focus. You create more of that energy. So,
and I think that why, that really strong why, can carry you through those moments, or at least keep the perspective there of why you're doing something when you're hearing the negative stuff.
And then don't be hard on yourself if you get dragged down sometimes. You know, it's a process. So just keep nurturing that muscle and keep reconnecting with other coaches who are excited too, and connect with your excitement. And quite frankly, when I'm starting out on something, and believe me, if you've read my book, you know how averse I am to like the woo-woo and the affirmations and the la-la-la, but they work. And so if you've got a mantra or an affirmation that reminds you of why you know that you're supposed to be a Beachbody coach, write that one-liner down and paste it all over the place and read it over and over. It makes a difference. It raises your frequency.
Yeah, so let me ask you, do you think that everybody has a badass self inside of them?
Totally. I totally do. And I think our journey here on Earth is to give ourselves permission to let it out of the cage. That's what we're all here for. And so that brings up all of our insecurities and all of our doubts, fears, and worries and all that stuff. But that's why we're here, is to learn how to move that out of the way so that we can shine our brightest.
So let me ask you, why, in your opinion, why is it better to be a badass than to not be a badass?
I guess that is an opinion. Well, because I think that everybody is put on Earth with a special gift, and that gift is your authentic self. And by not sharing that gift with the world, you're kind of being mean.
You use the term authentic self, you know, and I think for a lot of coaches, the reality is that being a Beachbody coach, there's a certain amount of, there's a social aspect to it, right?
Totally.
There's an aspect of, you know, I've got to show my life out to the world. And I think for a lot of people, before they do that, they're looking at other coaches who are showing their life out to the world. And they look and they say, oh, that coach looks like they're successful. Should that be my authentic self? Or, you know, should I act like this? Or should I present these things? And so the real question is that how do you define your authentic self?
Great question. And I've actually got a story personally that I went through that so seriously in the beginning when I was starting my coaching business. And, you know, as I said, my thing was all about money, right? I was already in bands, and I was writing music, and I was doing things that were very authentically who I was, but I was broke as a joke. And so when I decided to make money, I met this coach. It's a very long story, but I basically started an online business on how to write and sell your nonfiction book proposal, because that's what I knew how to do, and I knew I could make money doing that. And it was helping people, and it wasn't, you know, completely out of my value system or sort of who I was, but it's what I was going to do. However, the marketing for that was so painful for me, because there I was, like, in my little business casuals with my little haircut, and I was following all the other online marketers because these were proven systems that worked, and I wanted money, and so I was doing what the people who made money did, right? And the whole time I am living in terror that my punk rock people are going to stumble upon my online marketing page. I'd be like, oh my God, I'm going to totally lose my street cred. Yeah. And then I'm worried that all of my online people who are hiring me to help them write their book proposals are going to see me in a hair bikini in a band called Crotch and never give me a dime, right? So for a couple years, like, never did the two meet, right? Like, I was kind of living a double life and worried, but I was doing it. And that's the key, you guys. Like, just keep taking the next right step. You don't have to know everything right out of the gate. You don't have to know your authentic voice and what exactly you're bringing. You just keep doing what feels right, okay? So even though I say that it was business casuals and it wasn't really me, there was a part of it that really was me. And the part that really was me was I was going to make some damn money. So I kept my eye on that prize, and I was doing what it took. And as the years went on, and as I grew and started really expressing myself and learning my own business, slowly but surely it merged together, and that's what this is. This is the punk rock self-help book, you know, but I never would have gotten here if I hadn't allowed myself to just start taking action and start doing, and trusting that the universe was going to guide me exactly where I needed to go.
Yeah, you know, you mentioned, as you were describing your story, you said it wasn't outside of my values to do this. And I think that's something that's probably important for people to understand, sort of what are their own personal values and what are
Right.
those guardrails
Right.
that they want to hold to so that they can sort of present their authentic self in a way that's true to them.
Yeah, and I think, I threw that in there because, and there's such a judgment put on my, like, I'm going to do anything it takes to make money. I am not going to rape and pillage, I'm not going to do horrible things outside of my value systems. And I'm not going to do something that isn't fun and that isn't me. I'm a writer. I learned that I'm a coach through doing that work. So it was in line with what I was doing. Did it feel uncomfortable? Yeah. Is it not necessarily the perfect brand for Jen Sincero? I mean, I kind of wish that I brought one of my old banners of me and my little haircut. But it got me started and it got me moving. And a lot of times the way that you figure out who you are is by figuring out who you are not. So take the action, because you can sit here and think forever, and thinking just gets you back in that squirrel's nest. It's when you step out and start taking action that you start to find your way. I'm a big believer in that.
Yeah, and I think that, again, just going back to that authentic self, I mean, you can sort of spot a poser, right? Like it's really easy to, when somebody's out there and they're trying to be somebody that they're not.
Right.
You can only sort of hold that mirage for so long until people start figuring you out. And it's exhausting, to try and keep up.
Oh my gosh.
Being someone who you're not.
I heard a great quote. I can't remember who said it, but somebody was like, I am my authentic self just because it's so much easier than being somebody else, you know? It really is. It's easier. But I also don't think there's a crime in emulating somebody who's reached the success you want to reach until you get it. It's like the training wheels, you know? Then you take the training wheels off, and then you learn how to ride on your own steam and your own authenticity. But you're allowed to not know what you're doing. I think that's really the crux of what I'm trying to say. Like, it's fine. Just do it.
So Malia, who's part of our communications team, who actually owns this dog-eared version of your book. So this belongs to Malia. But I asked Malia when she brought it up here, like, okay, you've read this book, you're a big fan, what would you ask Jen? And so she asked, like, she read the book and she was on a high and felt empowered, but how do you sustain that?
It's so funny because I remember when I started out hiring coaches and reading the books, I was like, how do you keep it? You go to a seminar and you can go flip over a car afterwards and then, boop-a-doop-a-doop, down you go. It really is. It's all a frequency. We are energetic creatures, so you've got to work on keeping that frequency up. And it's fun. That's the other thing. Like, how good do you feel, if this book works with you, how good do you feel after reading that? So it's kind of fun, right? There are countless other great books out there that can lift you up that way. Music for me, huge. Exercise, like, do the things that raise your frequency and keep you up there. There's no magic trick to this, I remember I kept hearing the same things over and over, like, pay attention to your thoughts, become aware, what you focus on, you create more of. It is that stupid simple. It's kind of an insult that it really is that simple. It's like, I was broke for 40 years and that's all I had to do. But it's true. So put the time in and make a specific list. This is something that's also that I really want to pinpoint. It's about specifics. So it's not just, I'm going to go to the spiritual gym and I'm going to raise my frequency. What specifically are you going to do? Which books are you going to read? How long are you going to read them? And when you're going to read it? Every morning, every night? What music lifts you up? Do you have a playlist in place? Which particular exercise? What are you doing specifically? Because when we get vague, we lose it. That's why New Year's resolutions never work.
Yeah. It's interesting. I'm thinking, and I absolutely don't know you, but I mean, lives are multi-layered, right? So we got lots of coaches out there. We've got, young moms who are trying to deal with, their kids, their household. We got dads who are trying to, do kind of stuff. We got all kinds of people who lead, like they can't necessarily say, I'm going to focus on this 24 hours a day, right? And so how do you find the time when there's all these other parts of the world that are pulling at you? Not necessarily naysayers or anything like that, but, I've got a full-time job. I've got, to get home and make dinner. I've got, I've only got 2 hours here to do something. How do you make sure your badass comes out and that you're not sort of always in the, I'm trying to get there and I'll get there as soon as I do this?
How important is it to you? time is a mental construct. And I'm not saying that people aren't busy and that you don't have a lot of stuff going on, but when something is critical, and I know everybody watching this has had this situation where you've kind of pulled off the impossible because you didn't have a choice. It was so important. You had made that decision. So when it comes to building your businesses or whatever it is that you're doing, you've got to have that tenacious burning your bridges. It's happening. I don't care how much I have going on. I will make enough money to delegate it so that I can create more time for myself. I'll put it on my damn credit card and demand of myself that I make that money back. It really is much more about resolve than reality.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, I'm guessing that you have a busy schedule. You do lots of writing. You do lots of speaking engagements. You do coaching. With all of that, how do you personally find the time to read, engage in all the personal development that you need to sort of feed you to be successful?
Well, first of all, it doesn't need to take a long time. You know, honestly, like 10 minutes in that, or how long is a song? 5 minutes? And just really connecting with that, connecting meditatively. You can meditate for 4 minutes and just get connected. It doesn't need to take a long time. And I'm hiring more people. You know, I really am. I'm growing. I'm looking at the specifics of my business and getting mighty real about what I should not be doing at this point and relinquishing the control.
Ooh, that's hard. Huh?
Yeah. It's hard. And then you're like, that was the best thing I ever did. Why did that take me so long? Like so many other things, right?
Yeah. I think it's, you know, I think you just mentioned it earlier, but when it comes down to it, there's a million things going on, but life is pretty simple, right?
Yes.
And I think that we can overcomplicate it and get in the way of ourselves.
And we're sort of trained to do that, and that's why meditation is so great, you know? When you just take a breath, man, and this is I gotta be honest, like this is my mantra for this year is to shut up and slow down. Because I really want to come from a place of not reacting, of allowing, of not pushing so hard. You know, when you get into that delicate give and take of being motivated and doing whatever it takes and doing your work and also leaning back and receiving, that's when the stuff really starts to move. Because, can I get a little esoteric on you?
Sure.
Okay, so we exist in realities that are real to us, right? It's what we're seeing, it's the information we're taking in, it's what we're looking for. We're focusing on things, and then we are creating that reality. So when you've got your own business and you're trying to grow it, or personal or whatever, and you're trying to expand out of your present reality into a completely brand new one, you have got to create the space, because if you keep trying to get over here, but you're still focusing on this reality, it's impossible. You're trying to do the impossible, right? So and again, it is about this really simple thing of leaning back and allowing and letting in the stuff that's trying to come in from here, but is getting blocked by the squirrel's nest of this. So what does that really mean in real life? It means meditating and listening for the signs. So a lot of times we say we don't know what to do next. We want to grow our businesses, but we're really not sure what to do. And man, 9 times out of 10, you do know, you don't want to do it. So listening to what's coming in from out there, like that scary impulse, like, I should totally call that person, but actually I can't because they're really busy and I don't have time and I should really actually focus on this. Like that thought is gone. When you get into the habit of meditating and leaning back and hearing that come in, if it strikes a chord of fear in your gut, you know that is exactly what you need to go do, and you need to go do it immediately, because all the doubt, fear, and worry will then try to cover it up and stop you from doing it.
Okay, so confession, I'm not a meditator.
Okay.
Okay, like I'm not. It's something that, or maybe I am, but I don't know it.
Okay.
Like I think I'm contemplative often, but like the idea of saying like you should meditate, like that's kind of foreign to me.
Okay.
So take me through. We got some time for people out there who are saying like, okay, she's saying I should meditate. Great, I'm going to meditate. And then they go, how do I do that? How do you do that? How do you do that?
How do you do that? Okay, I do a couple things. So, and I recommend for somebody like you or somebody who really isn't comfortable with it and is learning about it, there are countless guided meditations that I found very, very helpful in the beginning. because it gives you something to focus on and to listen to. And even then, you're still like, oh, I got to go do the laundry, But you can keep coming back to it. And anyway, I find those very helpful. I'm a big fan of the Abraham Hicks meditation. I love those guys. But it's a very personal thing. So first thing I would say is to get a guided meditation.
Okay.
And then the second thing is, if you're going to do it on your own, start small. I mean, really do it for 3 minutes or 5 minutes or whatever, and set a timer so that you don't have to be all worried about the time and not getting into the zone. And just sit there, eyes closed, and focus on your breathing. And just focus on your breathing, and the thoughts are going to come in, and you're going to, the funniest thing to me is like, I'll be like, I'm in the zone, which means I've just pulled myself out of the zone. But, you're going to come in and out, and
awesome.
Just showing up.
All right, I'm going to try it right now. You entertain yourself.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. So meditation, right? I mean, like so meditate, like so much of what you're talking about, and you said it before, is mindset, right? And that the mind is really like this powerful muscle that can sort of dictate, what we do and whether that leads to success or stagnation or anything like that. So far, we've talked about meditation as a way to sort of enrich or to help with that mindset. We've talked about personal development. We've talked about in immersing yourself in books and music and things that do that. Any other things that help develop that mindset?
Vision boards. Create a vision. And again, the great thing about vision boards is they're specific. It's really about the specific things that you are desiring to create in your world. What do they look like? Making a vision board, hanging out with people who are kicking butt. I mean, it really, because you think about it, when you're around a bunch of people who are like, well, the economy is real bad and it's real dangerous to start an entrepreneurial venture right now, yada, yada, yada. You're right there with them, right? You're just like, oh my God, they're so right. And when you're with people who are like, screw that, like I had the best year I had ever last year and I'm going to create A, B, and C and I am so excited and I'm terrified and I'm doing it anyway. You literally were like a bunch of lemmings. We're like water. We are water, by the way. So we really rise and fall with the tides of who we're surrounding ourselves with. So it is critical to pay attention to that.
Yeah. My next question was going to be about why the economy is so bad, but I'll hold back on that one. But so again, I think that's a really important point, though, about like sort of who you hang out with, the environment that you're in. Ultimately, it's almost impossible for that not to have an impact on you.
Absolutely. And a lot of my clients are like, well, then where do I find these people? I've got all these great friends, but they're all doing nothing. And back in the day for me, when I was ready to make money, all my friends were broke as a joke too. We really hang out where we're most comfortable, and water does seek its own level, and joining coaching programs. I mean, that was it. Like I started paying money to these people to basically hang out with me.
Yeah.
And that's a great thing about the Beachbody community is you guys have that built in.
How scary was that when you handed over the money?
My God.
Like in your head, were you just thinking, this is the stupidest thing I've ever done. I'm handing over $1,000 to this person. I have no idea if it's going to help me or not. What were the thoughts that went through your head on that one?
Well, and it was back in the day before coaching was it's still sort of the Wild West. This was way back when it was super snake oil sales.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, I paid her the money, and then I called her 5 minutes later and begged for it back. Begged! I was like, oh my God! And she totally talked me in off the ledge and then proceeded to change my life.
Yeah.
And also, what was my family going to think? I'm from New York. No one's ever even there. They still look at me like, what? And my father's Italian, and he's from the old country, and he's a doctor, so he's all sciencey. And he is just like, only in America could you make money with this book. So I had a lot of familial stuff around this as well. But again, I had made the decision. I didn't care what they thought of me. I was like, I am so sick of being broke.
Do you think that if you hadn't have laid out the money, that you would have still gone through with the coaching? So if it were free, and that you didn't have to invest in it, and it was just like somebody walked in and said, yeah, send me an email and you can be in this thing.
Right.
How would your attitude have changed compared to the fact that you made an investment?
Completely different. And that's what we mean when we say money is currency and currency is energy. It's an energetic exchange. So by scaring the living crap out of myself, by paying that money, I was, literally vibrating at a different level, right?
Yeah.
I was just like, "Nah," and I had, pushed my own envelope way outside of my comfort zone. I was like, I got to make that money back pronto. But it really, by paying that, by using that currency of the money, I had invested in myself, and this is something that's really deep as well. When you invest in yourself, you are vested in you. You believe in you. To be vested in something really means that you believe in it. And so when you pay a coach or join a program or whatever, you're investing in yourself, and you're telling your little bunny self that you believe in you. And quite frankly, I truly believe that 99% of all the problems in this world are because people don't love themselves.
Yeah. When I talk to coaches and I say, why do you do this, right? But almost always the first answer is, I love helping people, right? And so, and I really believe that that's why they are, that's the type of people they are, that they love helping people and having an impact in people's lives. And so the idea of going out and saying, hey, I want to help you, that's not hard. What sometimes gets really hard for them, and so say, hey, I'm going to hold this challenge group, and I'd love for you to join this challenge group. We're going to get you results. We're going to blah 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 blah, and then they have to say, and it costs $140, right? So the challenge pack costs $140, and for some coaches, it's like, oh my God, I'm going to have to tell them that it costs something.
Right.
And like in the pit of their stomach, they're like, suddenly, now I'm not somebody who's helping people, I'm a salesman. And it's so
glad you brought this up.
And there's other people, other people who are like, it's $140. It's the best value there is because we're going to get you results and change your life.
Right.
And so can you talk a little bit about that?
I can talk for the next 48 days about that.
Keep going. I'll stop you when we tire.
Okay, so piggybacking on what I just said about how I had invested in myself, when you ask somebody for money, this completely changed the game for me because I was in the same exact space, right? I was brokey brokerson, crazy judgments about money. When I started visualizing it in the way that I just said, where it's a currency exchange. When you ask somebody for money, you're like, hey, I've got this amazing Beachbody program. It costs $140. Come along with us. I'm saying to you, I believe in you. I totally believe that you can not only do this challenge, but that you got $140, and if you don't, that you will find a way because I totally believe in you. If I say, you know what, maybe I can get you in for free or half price, or, we'll figure something out for you, because what am I saying? I'm saying, I don't think you can do it. I don't think that you can raise your frequency to the point where you can get $140. It's literally when you give away stuff for free, or you cut things in half for people, you're shrinking down and being like, let's be down here because you couldn't possibly come up here. And when you offer them something that's powerful that can help them, and you charge them exactly what it is worth, and you literally are holding out a hand and raising them up.
And I think also, like, just going back to what you said about how the fact that you invest, so that's one thing from the coach's perspective, to say that, hey, you are giving them something of value, you believe in them, and that, it's that makes perfect sense. But I think also to think about it from the customer perspective, right? That the reality is that they are more likely to get the results that they're after if they are investing in themselves. And so to a certain degree, that money that they're putting out, I mean, there's clearly value to it, but it's also part of their process too. Hugely. To commit themselves to get results.
It's the accountability.
Yeah.
You're not accountable if you don't have something vested. There's something at stake.
Yeah. So let me ask you, because again, our coaches are coaches. They are they are part of a relationship, right? They're helping someone get from one place to another and have to commit to that. So you as a coach, a success coach, and somebody that's out there, what are the things that you think about in terms of how do you commit to the people that you're coaching? How do you have the mindset or invest in the people that you're coaching to get them the results that they're after?
Well, I let it go a lot. Like, I can't worry about them getting the results they're after. That is completely an inside job on their part. So I don't make myself crazy with that. I focus on doing the best damn job that I can do, and really listening to them, and really creating the space, and really believing in them, because honestly, a lot of the times when people sign up for coaching, it's almost they're asking you to give them permission to be who they are and to give them permission to do what they want. It's amazing. And so that energetic exchange oftentimes is the whole enchilada. And also just to really believe in them and to hold them to that belief. Be like, look, I believe in you. You can believe that you're lazy and that you're stupid and that you're bad at sales and da-da. I believe in you. So, sorry.
And you just said that to a certain degree it's an inside job for them to get it done. Do you lay that foundation up front? Like do you let them know that up front that it is to a certain degree an inside job and that these are realizations that they're going to have to come to and grow through?
In my experience, most people get that by the time they sign up to work with me. That they're sort of aware that, it is up to them. But if somebody is acting like a victim, I will let them know. I mean, you got it. We're all out there doing the best we can. We're all facing our fears and challenging ourselves and taking risks and doing the work. And, what makes you think I have to do it for you? Yeah.
And so in those relationships, sometimes it's not all, smiles and
tears?
Honey. Like sometimes you have to get tough with the people that you work with.
Tough love, of course. I mean, they're not hiring me to tell them what they want to hear. They're hiring me to tell them what they need to hear. And so I think part of being a good coach is being very loving, but being very firm and really being clear on the truth, is that this person can create whatever they desire to create. And you believe in them, and I do believe that. So it's really about holding that space and holding them to that reality as much as they may want to wiggle out of it and give you 8 reasons why it's actually not possible for them.
Yeah. So in your subtitle here, How to Stop Doubting Your Greatness and Start Living an Awesome Life. Do you think there are people that have trouble defining what an awesome life is?
Absolutely.
And how do you go about to sort of help make that determination of, I know where I'm at isn't necessarily where I want to be,
right?
But I don't know really where I want to be.
Right.
How do people get there?
I think first is do the self-check on whether that is true or whether you do know where you want to be, but you think you can't have it, you don't deserve it, you can't make money doing it, you're too old. First, get that over with. And then if you're still like, no, for reals, I don't know where I want to be, start doing stuff. Just start doing it. Don't sit in here and wait until you have it all figured out. Take the next right step. If an opportunity comes to you that you're like, I don't know where that came out of, but it sounds maybe like it might be cool, check it out. I think in our culture, we are taught, and I talk about this in the book, that there's like a thunderbolt of realization that this is who I am meant to be. And we're waiting around for that thunderbolt, and then we wake up at 95 and it's like, whoops, get in the game.
And along that path, they just do it.
Yeah.
Is it okay to make some mistakes?
No. You have to be perfect.
Oh, man. So, but I think that's what people worry about. I mean, people worry about, like, I have to take this step. What if it's the wrong step?
Then it will let you know that it's the wrong step, so that then you will know what the right step looks like.
Yeah. And sometimes, again, it's like, it's amazing because it's just like, I don't know, I always think back to, like, I don't know, elementary school or middle school or the first time you're going to ask a girl, for me, ask a girl out. It's like, you just think that the result, whatever the result is, it's going to be crushing.
I know.
And based on personal experience, it is. No, but the reality is that that crushingness lasts about 30 seconds.
Right.
And then you go on.
And we will not let ourselves do things that we would love to do because we don't want to experience that 30 seconds. Don't want to risk that 30 seconds.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, it's like, there's lots of, slogans when you're in this industry. You have all these, like, kind of buzzwords, and people would say, like, go for no, and, try to find as many no's as you want. But I think the real answer is just keep taking steps forward.
Keep taking steps forward and do exactly what you just did. Get specific about your fears. This is the awareness thing again. So so let's say sales. Like, I'm scared of being pushy. This is a huge one in sales, right? Okay, so let's say worst case scenario. You're totally pushy. The person you're trying to sell thinks you're the most selly irritant on earth. then what? They don't buy from you. Then what? You go out and get another customer, you know? But you will never have gotten that next customer if you hadn't taken the first step through the scary part. So I think, again, specifics are the keys to freedom, especially with fear.
All right, so final question. How do I know if I've truly unleashed all of my greatness potential and that I am living an awesome life? How do I know that?
If you're happy. If you're happy and if you're excited to get out of bed in the morning. And, you know, again, nobody is always happy and nobody is always excited to get out of bed in the morning. But I think when you really feel like you're living on purpose and you're making a difference in people's lives and you're able to be, do, and have the things that you want and that you want to share with people, you know, and it's different for everybody. I don't think everybody has to make tons of money. I don't think everybody has to make huge shifts in millions of people's lives. I think just you've got to just get very clear on what excites you and go and do that and share that with the world.
Well, Jen, this was awesome. It really was a pleasure, and I hope people check out your book and check out your website. And
thank you.
It was really great, and we appreciate you.
I love the Beachbody crew. You guys are awesome. And I just want to say that, like, anybody who's brave enough to be an entrepreneur and create their own life is aces by me. Seriously.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you.
Right,
thank you, everybody, and we'll see you soon.
Wow. Great. Yeah, it was really fun. You're a natural.